Today we represent the Saigon TV's new network, and we are going to interview Mr. Phuocloctho, who was a veteran in the Vietnam War. He served there on 1 or 2 tours of duty from 1970 to 1971. We're glad to see you here, and I understand that you want to look for an interpreter who will help you when you serve in Vietnam in MACV.
Well, thank you for having me here. Appreciate that.
Yes.
Và thưa cảm ơn quý khán giả. Hôm nay chúng tôi có cái chương trình đặc biệt của đài Sài Gòn News TV. Hôm nay tôi có cách đây cũng khoảng 1 tháng nay tôi có một dịp hân hạnh của một giáo sư đại học UCI nhờ tôi tìm giúp một ông cựu chiến binh Nhật Bản để tìm được một người thân nhân của ổng. Ông cạnh tôi là ông Takeshi Furumoto, hàng kế là phu nhân Mrs. Furumoto. Chúng ta có lý do hôm nay để đến đài truyền hình một phần là chúng tôi muốn tìm lại một vị mà ông Furumoto đã làm việc cùng ở bên Việt Nam từ 1970 tới 71. Ông Furumoto lúc đó về để tham gia trong chiến tranh Việt Nam. Trong một năm đó, ông làm việc với một người thông dịch viên tên là Nguyễn Nghĩa, mà từ đó ông đã mất liên lạc lâu. Hồi lúc mà anh Nghĩa về qua được Mỹ hồi 1975, chúng tôi xin nói một chút về tiểu sử của ông Furumoto. Ông Furumoto là một người Mỹ gốc Nhật Bản, đã sinh ra ở trong trại camp ở bên sau khi đại chiến thứ hai, mà sau khi đó ông trở về Hiroshima, rồi xong ông qua lại, rồi ông tham gia trong là một người lính Mỹ. Ông đã cũng học tiếng Việt, rồi ông đi về Việt Nam. Thì hồi lúc ở bên Việt Nam đó thì ông có quen một người tên là Nghĩa Nguyễn, mà hồi lúc mà ông trở về Mỹ đó, ông bị ảnh hưởng bởi cái sự rối loạn căng thẳng sau khi chấn thương là PTSD, nên ông không có dám tiếp xúc với cái người bạn Nghĩa đó. Nhưng mà sau nhiều năm ông đã dọn qua tiểu bang khác, mà bây giờ ông muốn quay về để đóng lại một cái đoạn đời của ông, để cho ông muốn tìm lại cái anh Nghĩa. Chúng tôi hy vọng là cái chương trình hôm nay sẽ có giúp ông tìm được người bạn cũ của ông là tên Nghĩa. Anh Nghĩa này đó, theo chúng tôi biết đó, là làm việc với ông Furumoto ở địa điểm ở Đức Huệ, gần Đức Huệ và
Long An,
là ở gần Long An. Nhưng chúng tôi chỉ biết đó thôi, và tại vì rất tiếc là hai người không có một cái hình ảnh nào cùng với nhau, nên chúng ta không có biết, còn không có cái hình của ảnh của anh Nghĩa đó, ông Nghĩa đó. Chúng tôi cũng hy vọng là không biết là ông Nghĩa còn sống hay không, nhưng mà ông Furumoto ông cũng muốn gặp những người gia đình, những người con của ông Nghĩa đó, để cho có thể là một đáp lời cảm tạ với cái sự làm việc chung ở bên Việt Nam. Chúng tôi muốn mượn cái đài truyền hình của Saigon News để cho phổ biến cái đề tài này. Và hôm nay chúng ta cũng muốn nói một chút về những cái cảm tưởng của ổng, tại vì ổng là lần đầu tiên trở về quận Cam LittleSaigon của chúng ta. Mr. Furumoto, thank you, Mr. Tang and Saigon News for having us. I have just explained to our audience the reason for your presence here with us is that you're looking for your friend who helped you through translation while you were in Vietnam for the year 1970 and 71. And that, in fact, he had reached out to you, but because of still in the midst of the darkness of PTSD, you were unable to meet with him. But now at this time in your life you would like to return, and hopefully maybe is it to close a chapter, a portion, and hopefully to meet Mr. Nghĩa or his surviving family. And we're hoping to use this media to be able to reach out to as many eyes out there. Hopefully they can find this individual and they can contact us. So I understand this morning this is the first time for you to visit LittleSaigon, even though you did grow up in Long Beach, you did grow up in Southern California, but you went away to the East Coast to have your realty business. May I ask if you're in the back we have the images of the Vietnam War Memorial, and I understand you were there this morning. Can you tell us your feelings when you saw the War Memorial there?
This is quite different from the one in Washington, D.C. You have two Americans in Washington, D.C. I noticed that today one's American and one's Vietnamese, South Vietnamese soldier. One without helmet, one with it. And I understand Vietnam has been involved in the war all these years. And America the chapter has ended, Vietnam. But Vietnam has faced so many enemies, yet withstood them. That's the feeling I got. And I did fight in Vietnam. And they were really good fighters, and then they believe in nationalism, and that they really took it to heart. And that's why they have withstood America, withstood French, withstood Chinese, withstood other enemies. So I really, really admire this particular memorial. This is the first time I went, and I was really, really, really surprised to see this for the first time.
Mr. Phuocloctho, I understand that one tour of duty in Vietnam is about 2 years, right?
1 year.
1 year?
1 year, yes.
So you served 2 tours of duty
No,
in Vietnam?
just 1 year.
Just 1 year?
Yes.
Oh, just
1 year.
1970 to 1971.
Right,
And that's
February
it.
1970, and then to February 1971.
All right.
Yes.
And during that time, you served with MACV, which is Military Assistant Command, Vietnam.
Yeah.
And who was your immediate commanding officer at the time?
At the time when I went was Major Cooper, and he was a senior advisor in Duc Huê district, and I was second in command at the District Intelligence Coordinating Center. And at the same time, I worked another hat, which was Counterinsurgency Phoenix program,
Yes.
which I worked with the National Police Chief, and he was my counterpart.
You didn't have to see action in Vietnam in the role as an advisor with MACV?
Well, you know, we had in our team mobile advisory team, which covered all the villages, and sometimes we went together on a mission, such as ambushes, and whenever we get intelligence on the Phoenix program, we would call on search. So I did see some action, and because they needed American officer or non-commissioned officer to call like medevac when somebody gets wounded, or gunships. And so I was involved with those things, which means that we were involved with some combat, but not as much as infantry, because our job was mainly the Phoenix program, and mainly to neutralize the Viet Cong infrastructure in each village.
I'm aware of the Phoenix program because I read a lot about that.
Yes.
And it was said to be a very successful program in that it terminates a lot of, the insurgents in South Vietnam. Yeah.
I remember before coming to Vietnam to fight in 1970, New York Times called this particular Phoenix program assassin squad. I said, no way. Well, actually, we're an assassin squad. It's that whenever we have a contact with the village, or with the our enemy,
I think it's got a bad name because it was so successful.
well, we tried, but information is always compromised, because in a village, maybe the one son worked for South Vietnamese, but maybe other son
Yes.
worked for Viet Congs.
That's
It
the
was
difficulty.
So sad to see that.
Yes.
So divided, but
Okay. Dr. Chi?
So maybe I guess our audience know about the chương trình khủng hoảng
Dạ.
Trong cái thời gian during the time when you returned to the U.S., you were married to Mrs. Furumoto
No.
already?
Almost. I met her during the time I was being trained as an officer candidate in Fort Belvoir. And then right after that, we had training to go to Vietnamese language school. That was the time that I met her.
I see.
Yeah.
And that's the reason you mentioned earlier that you're not fluent in Vietnamese because...
Well, that's my love story during the war. I even met her at R&R in Japan.
Oh, yes.
But I used to study 6 hours a day, 5 days a week, and I should be fluent in Vietnamese, but I used to go visit her on the weekends in Los Angeles, 5 hours drive. And I always blame her for me not being fluent in Vietnamese. And when I had to interrogate, I really needed a couple of interpreters because the enemy would look at my face like, huh? Like they couldn't quite understand me, but yeah. I wish I had learned better,
Your, what do you remember about Mr. Nguyen? Was he tall? Was he thin? Was he dark skinned? Was he light skinned, curly hair?
Well, he was slender. He must have been at least 3-4 inches taller than I was. And his English was pretty fluent. Maybe perhaps a touch of French, maybe. But I thought his English was really, really good, And next year actually is 50 years after Vietnam War ended. And it's like a closure right now. And then she and I actually visited Vietnam, March.
You went to Đức Huệ?
Yeah, this way.
Yes.
And show her where I was fighting. And also, I was asked by NHK to cover the story about 50 years after, Vietnam. So when this happened, I said, wow, Mr. Nia and I worked so closely together for 12 months. He knows what I did and so forth. And I thought it would be a great opportunity to interview each other. And like he mentioned that I think it was mid-1970s, he was one of the boat people. He did give me a letter. It says, Mr. Furumoto, I'm in Orange County.
Wow.
I'd like to see you. But at that time, I was going through my own personal problem with PTSD. And I wanted to kind of forget about Vietnam, so I never responded. I'm so sorry I have not responded to him. But now I would like to, if possible, to
Reconnect with him.
Reconnect with him. Yeah.
So,
And he was slender, tall, really good at language, and he had helped me quite a bit because I didn't know anything about the location. I didn't know anything about this program. He was like my mentor in a way.
at the time, did he wear a uniform or he was civilian?
No, plain clothes.
Plain
Yeah.
clothes.
And he didn't live with us at all. He used to commute to see us. But he was also interpreter for my previous predecessor.
I see.
Yeah. So,
So your predecessor, what was his name?
Geez, I think, I never got to see him because when I went, he was already gone. Jesus. I remember my successor's name. His name is Stuart Harrington, but I don't quite remember him.
Do you think Mr. Harrington may have also continued working with Mr. Nia?
No, he didn't, because Mr. Nia left after I left Vietnam. Yeah, so he probably would know.
Do you have any memory of you both going out to the city, or any incidents where?
Well, you know, sometimes our senior advisor in Hua Nia province, he got so frustrated operating this Phoenix program, and he used to really send us without the Vietnamese troops. Usually we have troops with us, but sometimes it got to the point where Mr. Nia and I would go to, especially this village called Can Mi, which was kind of infested with the Viet Congs, and I was giving orders to say, hey, you know, if you can't catch these guys, you know, you go out there and try to observe. And I think at that time, I think Mr. Nia was really afraid what might happen to him. But anyway, I remember that part of that.
We have some photos of you as a young man during the 1970s. We'll put that up in the for everyone to see. During that time, being Asian and in the Vietnam War, did they expect you to be either? Did they think you were a Vietnamese soldier?
Well, they didn't think I was U.S. Army soldier at all. There were Korean soldiers, like a Tiger Unit, White Elephant. So they said, "Well, you must be Korean." I said, "No, I'm American soldier." I said, "No." I said, "I'm Japanese American. I'm American." They said, "No." Finally, they gave me a nickname.
What was that?
Nickname was Japanese Lieutenant. So in Vietnamese, they used to call me Chung Win Nhut. So that was my nickname. So yeah. And well, because I was Asian, they were especially close to me. Said, "Well, you and I are same, you know, in a way." So I got along with them very well. I think I treated them very well, and actually I really enjoyed what I was doing because we got along well. It was different treatment actually.
You got different treatment because you were Asian.
Yeah.
Did any of your close comrades, like fellow officers, lost their lives in Vietnam, which may lead you to suffer from PTSD?
Well, my senior advisor, I mentioned that who was your boss, my senior advisor, Major Cooper, just before President Nixon went into Cambodian border without the congressional approval. And he was ambushed in Tam My village because, you know, usually Viet Cong, they will not come out during the daytime.
During the daytime.
Usually they'll come out nighttime because U.S. have air superiority, so they will come out. But he was really attacked during the daytime. He got hit with a Chicom Chinese grenade. He was sent back to the United States.
Okay.
Way I got treated, I was Asian. This is the first war the blacks and white fought together in the war. And also, this was second war for Asian Americans, just like Japanese Americans and Caucasians fought together. Second. So, in a way, me being an officer, sometimes, I got a treatment like, they didn't really respect me. But at the same time, I had an upper hand because I get to the efficiency report. So if they wanted promotion. But, I grew up in South Central LA. I grew up with a black kid. Because, Japanese Americans were interned during the World War II.
Yes.
So there was a stigma. So we're kind of stirred into that particular area. So all these black and Hispanic soldiers kind of surrounded me. in case there is a problem. I said, I have no problem, but it is stuck by me. So that was nice.
Right.
So, when you returned, you started your life. Can you tell us about your business in the East Coast? That is now
New Jersey, I suppose. New Jersey, right?
New Jersey, yes.
Is that you are celebrating your 50s?
50, yes. This June we celebrated 50 years.
In business and
yeah.
ongoing.
Yeah. Well, what happened is that, you come back with PTSD or others different. Later on, found out that I'm exposed to Agent Orange, but a lot of American soldiers that was exposed to that. But I couldn't hold a job when I got back because, I don't know, everybody's PTSD worked differently. And when I came back, I mean, I couldn't really focus. I couldn't really do a job right, so I got fired, got terminated. And then when I got married to her, I had the PTSD, and I was sent her back to Los Angeles. She's from Los Angeles. Get the hell out of my sight. There was a different person inside of me, but she used to always come back to me. Says, because our parents said, gaman, word means gaman, perseverance, and she would come back over and over again. Without her nursing me and financially supporting me, I might have been in the street of New York City, homeless maybe perhaps, but I really owe a lot to her. Maybe you could ask her, I don't know how she feels about me.
So there we go. How do you feel about supporting this man after all these years?
Well, I thought that's my duty. I had an older brother who also went to Vietnam. He was a helicopter mechanic, and he had hard times as well. So, and then every time I went back to LA and I spoke to my parents, they said, life is not easy. You have to just do the best you can. So I just took that to heart, and I did my best. When I first came back, I worked for Japan Airlines in the accounting department because somebody had taken a leave of absence. I went to various companies to earn a living, and I went to a department store to work for a sheets and towel department. But whatever I could do to find work, I went, and I just felt that was my duty. Yeah.
Well, definitely the women is the stronger sex. In my field, all my patients are female, and I can tell you females are stronger than male, and they carry the next generation. So with that, I want to thank you for your service to our country and as well for giving this American to us. And thank you for taking care of our servicemen all these years. I think this 50-year anniversary of the fall of Saigon is coming up. Now that you see war across the world, having fought them and having been victims with your family through wars, what lessons would you have to share with the younger generation about war?
Well, the war has been in the history all these years, and for me, after we were interned during the World War II in the camp, we were locked up for 4 years because of our heritage, and then at that time, our grandparents, both my father's, my mother's side, they were in Hiroshima when the atomic bomb was dropped.
And they survived.
Our parents decided to go back. And I seen the aftermath of what happened. Even, well, it's not quite like Agent Orange, but still, it is a chemical that really affects your body. And so I seen what the war does. The war, because of the Pearl Harbor, we got locked up in the camp for 4 years. Because of the war, they had dropped a bomb in Hiroshima. Because of the war, I was in the combat in Vietnam. And because of the war, I had the after effect. But war is terrible. Unless you see once you see it, you fight it. You don't know what war is about. It is horrible. I know I gave her a lot of problem. When I was in Hiroshima, for example, you know, like 150 people evacuated overnight. And then, like my uncle, his body was all burnt. And there was a stigma, for example, women, and they used to have a lot of arranged marriage. They were rejected because we don't know what the future kids will look like. Because they don't know what disease was. All these things are caused by war. Believe me, we don't want it. But it happened. But it happened. There's the duty, our obligation, and we have to serve, and we did serve. And I'm glad. I mean, I come back with Agent Orange exposure. I come back with PTSD. I've been lucky. Some people have not been lucky, but I read that today. It says duty, honor, fighting. You know, and that's true. That is our job. And another thing I noticed that there were the generals. So right after 1975, generals and colonels, they took their own lives, you know, but you know, I guess they want to show an example who the soldiers are, you know. But really, that really,
Yeah.
hit my heart.
Wow. Xin chắc chúng ta nên kết thúc chương trình. Và nếu mà quý vị đã xem chương trình này mà có thể nhớ lại có một người quen hay người trong gia đình mà có thể biết ông Phuocloctho trong thời gian ông ở bên Việt Nam, xin liên lạc đài Saigon News với cái số điện thoại dưới đây, và chúng ta sẽ hy vọng ông ta sẽ ở đây tới cuối tháng 12. Hy vọng là ông có thể gặp lại được cái người mà tên Nghĩa mà ông đã làm việc trong năm vừa qua. Dạ thưa, cảm ơn quý khán giả.
Quý vị vừa theo dõi chương trình đặc biệt của Saigon TV News Network, và chúng tôi hy vọng rằng là chương trình này sẽ được mọi người xem và giúp ông Phuocloctho tìm lại người bạn cũ là thông dịch viên của ông ở Việt Nam trong thời gian ông phục vụ trong chiến tranh Việt Nam với tư cách là cố vấn của MACV. Xin cảm ơn quý vị.
This is the first time I actually got to see LittleSaigon. I was very impressed. I was able to see the shopping center and so forth. From 1975, I think Vietnamese did a great, people did a great job, starting from nothing. You mentioned like Phoenix, out of the ashes they came out, and it was so nice to see that.
Yeah.
And very proud of them. And Japanese American, we have faced a similar
Same
situation,
thing.
so we kind of feel more towards that. And yeah, thank you for giving us an opportunity to be here and say hello to
It's our
everybody.
pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.